The most important thing to make sure of when you have an addict in your home is to protect your peace. That is the number one priority, because if you don't have the peace, if you don't have peace in your home, then you don't have a strong foundation or a good structure in the home that's going to be able to fortify you against any challenges that you may come across with the ones that you have that are struggling in the home. You've got to fortify your home. You've got to protect the loved ones that you have in your home, those that are in your care. They're the number one priority. Your place has to be a sanctuary. It's got to be a soft spot to land. When you come home, you should have peace. You should feel safety. Everyone should feel safe. Everyone should have that peace in your home. If you can have your peace, and if you maintain the peace and the structure in your home, and you keep that foundation solid, then you'll be able to deal with and withstand any and all trials that you're going to have that may come into your space, that may come into your home. When those things start to falter, when your foundation is shaky, it's like building your home on sand. It's like the parable where the house that was built on the sand, when the storms came, it washed the house away. You've got to build your home on rocks. You've got to build it on a strong foundation that doesn't move, so that you will be able to fortify yourself and your family against any and all challenges and trials that you guys are going to go through. And yes, you want to make sure that they feel loved, that they feel supported. The ones that are struggling, I'm talking about. You want to make sure that they do. And they may feel like they're not being loved if you have to put boundaries in, and if you have to put consequences in. And if one of the consequences is that they cannot be there if they breach any of the rules that you have, if they are breaching any of the values that you guys have, and they have to leave, they might think that that is a bit harsh. But I'm telling you now that it is better for them to not be in your home, to bring that influence into the home to affect those that you have in your home in a negative way. It is better for them not to be there than for them to be there. And that still is loving. That is tough love. And they may not see that as love. They may see that as you turning your back on them, but that's not the case. And you know that's not the case. And even if they don't understand that that is the case, one day hopefully they will come to see that was the case, that the reason they did it was out of love, and was to protect your home, and to protect those that are in your home also, and that you have a responsibility to do that. Show them love, show them support, but be strong, be firm on your boundaries and the consequences. Make sure that you stick to your guns, and that you action those consequences if need be, and show them that you're doing all of these things out of love. Tell them that you're doing all these things out of love. They may not feel it. That's okay. That's going to be up to their interpretation, but you know the truth of it. And that's really what matters, because they may not be in the right space to be able to understand that. You might also wonder how long you have to do this for. And I would just say that you do it until that's it. There's going to be no point in this where you're going to make any changes to the values that you have, to be lenient on the rules that you have. This is a structure. Those structures have to be consistent, and they have to last. And so who knows how long you have to maintain this. But the result of maintaining this is that you're going to have peace in the home. And that's really so important, because you need to live your life still. It's going to be hard anyways, either way. When you're dealing with a loved one that's struggling with addiction, that's tough no matter how you look at it. But it's even tougher for you when that comes into your home and it invades your space, your personal space, your private space, the space that should be a sanctuary. If you keep that solid, if you keep the peace in the home, you can continue to live your life, and to even have fulfilling lives, and still move on, and not let this rule the roost, or not this be the thing that rules your life. It shouldn't be. It's something you have to deal with, and you have to acknowledge that, yes. However, you still have a life to live. You still have a meaningful life to live. You still maybe need to find your purpose. Maybe you are living your purpose. You still have to do those things. You still have to live a fulfilling life, right? You do not want to look back on this part of your life and regret it, and because because you placed more importance and stressed more about this thing than you did focus on yourself and your own happiness. And that is so important. And that should be your number one driver, your happiness, your peace. If we put too many rules on our happiness, where the only time that we're happy is if X, Y, and Z has to be done or in place, that's not real happiness. That means you have to wait for stars to line up. You got to wait for your ducks to line up. You have to have so many things in order for you to feel happy or to justify allowing yourself to be happy. This isn't real happiness. That's not real joy. Real joy and real happiness will come and can be experienced in tribulation, in the trials, in the challenges that you're going through. That's what joy and happiness is. It's a state, no matter what is going on around you. You can have that. You can maintain that. You should have that. We all deserve to have that. That's why we are on this earth, is to be happy, and not happiness like material things will give you or what circumstances will give you. It's a happiness, that joy that comes from living your values, from living your purpose. A lot of us find our value in worshiping God and keeping commandments and trying our best to do the right thing and living our lives in a way that we're contributing more than we are taking. And so many people find joy in this manner. This has been the manner in which I've found joy. It's always been outside of me. I find more joy in my children. They have taught me how to live outside of myself because I have to sacrifice for them. Being married, and my wife, she's taught me happiness. She's taught me how to look outside of myself and to contribute outside of my own needs. And that has always brought me happiness. And that's where true joy and happiness really will come from, is those things, is being able to live outside of ourselves. When I left home, I really had so much hate in my heart for my parents. I thought that they were turning their back on me. I thought that they were just trying their hardest to I don't want to say not make me happy, but I just felt like I had so many rules and so many regulations, and there were so many things, expectations that they had on me, and it was just too hard. It was just too hard for me to live there. And so when I left home, I thought that I was they turned my back on they turned their back on me, and that I was left to fend for myself and to do things my own way. And I know that that was very tough for my family. I don't know, like I can't imagine the pain that I had caused my family, for leaving, for setting bad examples, for the amount of hatred that I had spewed against them over the years that I was away from home. I had to fend for myself. I thought that when I left home, I had all this freedom and that I could just live my life the way that I wanted to live. And at first I thought, yeah, this is like what real happiness is all about. I mean, I'm finally free. I don't have all these rules or commandments or all these things I have to follow. I can just do what I want. And then I did just do whatever I wanted. And over those years, over 10 years, 20 years, I just indulged in my vices as much as I could. I did absolutely everything that I wasn't supposed to do, that I was taught not to do when I was growing up. And I thought that that's where happiness was being in the world, living how everybody else lived, and just conceding to every natural urge and tendency that I had. And after 2 decades of living that way, I come to find that, yeah, this isn't it. This isn't real happiness. This isn't what I thought happiness was. And that is when I started thinking about and contemplating making changes in my life. And I'm not sure how my life would have went if my parents would have just said, "Oh, look, you can stay home and just live your life the way that you want to live." But I did go out in the world and just live it on my own. I couldn't live at home because I was living against the values that my family had. And it wasn't until later on in life that I understood that, yeah, I was setting a bad example. I was trying to force my lifestyle into their lifestyle and trying to get them to conform and to allow me the space to live my life in their home. And it just wasn't going to happen. And I'm really grateful that my parents didn't allow that to happen to me, because it forced me to go out into the world and live my life and find out for myself what real happiness was. And I'm grateful for the experience that I had in life. I may have wasted a lot of the time that I had, but the way that I live my life now, the things that I'm doing, I've changed the direction. I found purpose. I have a family, and all these things I don't think I would have found on my own if I would have been allowed to stay at home. At the end of the day, we can only control what we can control, and that is ourselves. We can't control our children. We can't control what everybody else is doing. We can't control the weather. We can't control our what our boss says about us, or we can't control everything. We can only control ourselves. And so for those of you that are still thinking that maybe you can force your kid to change, or force your loved one that is struggling to change, that is outside of your control. You don't control that. You don't control them. And ultimately, if they want to change, they will change, but it will come from them. And I suppose that's another thing, is that if you stay strong, if you keep the communication lines open, if you keep your home as an open door policy for your loved ones that are struggling, but you enforce the rules and you enforce the boundaries and you enforce the consequences to protect your peace, as long as you do that, and you do that forever, you do that until, if if your loved one decides that they want to change for the better, they will know that they have a support group, a strong foundation that they will be able to rely on for their journey ahead. And this is so important, because they will know that they are loved and that they are supported, and that they have a backing behind them, that they have a support network around them that's going to uplift them, to help to carry them through this journey, which will be full of ups and downs, and challenges and trials that come with their own set of issues. They will know that they will be supported and loved, and that's really key. It's key for your struggling loved ones to know that they have a support group, a foundation that's solid behind them, because they know that they're going to have success. It will give them that hope and that confidence to know that they have that they can get through this, that they're not going to be isolated. And so the final thing that I want to share with you is that thing that you should do is to just to let go and to let God. And I suppose what I mean by that is, like, I mean, I have been talking about this earlier, is that you can't control your loved ones. You can't make them do anything. You just focus on yourself and your happiness and your home, and keeping that peace in the home. And then you love your the ones that are struggling. You love them, you support them when you can. You be firm with them, and then you just let go, and then let God do the rest, and let the rest of it be in God's timing. In the scriptures, in the Bible, it says that it teaches you to be still and know that I am God. And that is what the Lord is saying, is to be still. I got this. It is that simple, to just let go, and just to let God. You just let it go. Don't hold on to any of that anxiety and the stress that doesn't belong on your shoulders. You can't control it anyways. You have zero control over it. So why worry about those things? Why carry that extra weight that's only going to drag you? It's only going to create more stress and anxiety, and make things more difficult for you. Just let it go. Let it go, and just say, "Hey, Lord, I'm doing everything that I can. Please, can you help me? Please, can you help my husband, my wife, my son, my daughter, whoever it is, my loved one? Please help them." And let the Lord do things in his own time. Trust in his own timing. Trust that he's got this. Trust that he loves you and understands what's going on, and what your loved one needs and when they need it. And I think that that's really one of the difficult things to do, is to trust in the Lord's timing, because we always have this idea in our head of how that movie should play out, and when it should play out, and when things should happen. It never really ever happens that way. The Lord's timing is so different. And the reason it's so different is because there's a lesson for us to learn. There's a thing that the Lord is trying to teach us. There's a character that he's trying to build up inside of us. There's a talent that we need to learn. There's a thing, that an area that we need to grow. There's a weakness we need to strengthen. those are the reasons for the Lord's timings. Is He's trying to teach us how to become more like Him, more like Jesus Christ, so that we can be more compassionate, more loving, more kind. And so, these things don't come up without trials and challenges. You cannot learn these character. You cannot gain these characteristics or learn how to be like this without trials and challenges. You have to go through difficult times to do that. But just letting go and just saying, "Hey, Lord, I've done my thing. I'll leave the rest to you. I'll continue to love my loved ones, and let that be it, and move on with your life, and just wait for the Lord to show His hand." And I know many people that have that the Lord has showed His hand, and I'm an example of that. My parents didn't believe that this could happen to me, like I would be able to redirect my life while I was here on this earth, like in this lifetime. They didn't believe it. They never believed that I could come around in this lifetime. I know I put them through some heartache though. I know that they cried every night. They fasted, they prayed for me, they did all these things. 20 years later, they get a phone call from me and saying, "Hey, I'm ready. I'm ready to change. I'm ready to come home. I'm ready to change my life. I'm ready to move on to the next stage of my life." And they were there. They've been there ever since to support me, and it's been a blessing. It's been a blessing ever since. And I'm grateful to God, for all the blessings and the trials and the challenges that I've been through. They have created. I've become the person that I am because of them. But that's just life. But we can be happy in this life no matter what we're going through. I think that that's really what I want to share as a message, is that it is possible for us to have joy and happiness even when we're going through hard times. If we trust in God, if we do the right thing, then let God do His thing, then He'll do His thing in His own time. I hope this was helpful, and I'll see you next time.